Good afternoon, sir. Sir, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible but not visible.
Yes, sir. There's some issue with the camera again. It was, we just, we were,
Yes, yes.
we
It
were
did,
yes.
it did show up something. So camera also wants that the class should be full. Four people today?
No, there are 6 people, sir. There are 7 people. 7.
May I have the pleasure of looking at all the 7?
No, we are actually 9, sir. 9. Where did you get 9?
I, this is a hearsay. I've heard it from Suneet that there are 9. I said, okay, maybe someday I'll see them. You attend classes by turns, isn't it? Okay, so let's not spend too much time. Let's practice for some time, okay? We begin the practice by firstly adjusting the posture, relaxing the body, keeping the spine erect. And for first few minutes, we observe the breath coming in through the nostrils, coming out through the nostrils. Since I can't see you, I can't guess whether you are able to meditate properly. I presume it is so that you are able to focus attention on the breath for a reasonable length of time, a minute or so at a time. And then that we started last time, we then shift the attention to the body. Okay. We shift the attention to the body and start being aware of whatever bodily sensation we can feel. Note the nature of sensation, whether it is heaviness, lightness, the hot, cold, movement, vibration, trembling, uh, hand scrolling, and there will be various kinds which we had mentioned associated with the various elements. Air element is movement, earth element is heaviness, lightness, extension. Water element is liquidity and cohesion, and fire element is heat or cold. So you know that, then also know the affective tone of the experience. Is it pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral? So wherever you're naturally able to feel anything, you can do that. You can try that for some time, and then I'll give more instructions. To help you do it properly, I will make some small brief instructions. Please take your attention to the head and roll out the head and see if you can feel anything there. Anything, any experience. Note the nature of the sensation and the nature of the associated feeling. You must understand pain is also an unpleasant feeling, tingling is a pleasant feeling. Sometimes you feel as if the pressure on the head, that also is an unpleasant feeling. It's associated with heaviness, lightness, as if something is moving. Whatever actually is happening within the whole head, just be aware. And if you feel more than one place, then be aware of that and notice its changing nature. And shift attention to the face, whole of the face, forehead to the chin, eyes, nose, forehead, eyebrows, lips, chin, cheeks, anywhere if you feel anything, just be aware of that without any reaction. Ears, and be aware of the back side of the head, right up to the neck. All around the neck, if you feel anything. And shift to the right shoulder, the whole of the shoulder, anything is fine. And the whole of the upper arm, from the shoulder to the elbow, right elbow, and the whole of the upper arm, if you can feel anything. And from the right elbow to the wrist, lower arm, and the right hand from the chest up to the fingertips. all the 5 fingers, the palm, back side of the hand, shift to the left shoulder, from the neck to the shoulder joint, whole of the shoulder blade. Upper arm, left upper arm, up to the elbow, from the shoulder joint to the elbow joint, the left upper arm, whatever you feel, movement, heaviness, lightness, pressure, tension, heat, cold, as if something is moving, trembling, numbness. And from the left lower arm, from the elbow to the wrist joint, the hand from the wrist to the fingertips of the left hand. Palm, back side of the hand. Wherever you feel, at whatever place you feel anything, stay there for a few seconds. Note the nature of bodily sensation and the nature of the feeling and the fact that they are changing. Now you can shift to the trunk of the body, front side first, from the neck down, right up to the diaphragm, the region of the lungs, of the chest. Anything, any movement you feel there, any other bodily sensation. and the whole of the chest region. In bigger area, you may feel at more than one place. So one by one, you can go and feel what is happening. And the trunk area below the chest, the belly, whole of the area. And look at the back side of the trunk, starting from the neck down up to the upper back, whole of the upper back. And the lower back area. Bottom area is seat on which we're sitting on the chair, where the whole weight of the body is transmitted to the chair. So you may feel pressure, maybe some pain. So just be aware of that. So we start from the right side. The right thigh, the right leg up to the knee joint, from the thigh joint to the knee joint, portion which is resting on the chair, and then the rest of the portion of the body may have a different experience. From the thigh joint to the knee joint, the whole of the upper leg, upper right leg. Again, you may feel some things at different places. So one by one, put some attention there and notice what's happening. Without any reaction, without saying it's good or bad. And the lower leg from the knee joint to the ankle. That portion, if you can feel anything. And from the ankle to the whole of the right foot, to the toes, fingertips, toes, and the sole of the feet and the upper portion of the feet, whole of that feet. You can scan and see what's happening. Similarly, start from the left thigh, the hip joint, and from there up to the elbow joint, thigh in the bottom area resting on the chair, whole of the upper leg, up to the left knee joint. Then the lower part of the leg from the knee joint to the ankle joint, or around the leg, you can see anywhere, anything being felt. Left foot from the ankle to the fingertips, the toes, sole, upper part of the left foot. Once you complete the one scan of the body, feeling the bodily sensations and the feelings, and trying our best to be aware and not to react to them. And when you do it, because you've done one scan, then you can start from the top again and do it again and again. And once you do it systematically, properly, you'll notice substantial benefits from this. You open your eyes now. Open your eyes. Relax. And tell me whether you could feel anything or not. Was it all blank or you could feel some things? Yes, could you feel anything, anybody, or all of you were just feeling nothing.
I could feel pressure on my feet, also tingling sensation in my head.
Rest of the body, nothing.
I was feeling very sleepy today. Also, there was some disturbance in between. There were people coming in and out because there was some technical thing going on, and I ended up feeling very sleepy. Um, Days.
How about you? The one I can see in the middle of these two who spoke.
Uh, Sir, I wanted to ask what to do when you're feeling very restless at that moment of meditation.
So be aware, I am feeling restless. And see how does it manifest in the body. There will be some movement, there will be some pressure, there will be some heat. Something will happen. So you have to relate to the body. You have to start living in our own body and not in the head. And that's a very, very, very great lesson to be learned in it. Because when you are living in the head, you are living either in past or in future. The body will bring you back to the present.
I feel like when thoughts are not coming, there is sensation which I'm able to feel throughout the body.
Yeah, so you should just sit quietly and see what's going on in the body. Look at it as if it is a drama going on. So be aware of that and just be aware, okay, is it changing or is it fixed? Is it pleasant or unpleasant? Is it vibration? Is it happiness? It is lightness? Is it heat? Just be aware of that. So you're just beginning. So try to do that. Be aware. And being aware of the body and not reacting to the experience is the training which we do for living in a equanimous manner in the life. That's the training actually. If you practice it properly, mind will get quiet, mind will get purified, little bit. And restlessness will fall down, anger will come down. You have to just do it systematically. Why and how we'll explain as you practice. Actually, you can know it from your own practice if you're very careful, if you're not very casual about the whole thing. And I could see some of you smiling and what the fun is going on. That's okay. In the beginning, I can see that. But do it and see what does it matter? What does it do to you? It has the potential of transforming your mental state. That much potential this practice has.
So even if the body is feeling and the mind is feeling very restless, should we still continue with the meditation and sit there so that we can clear it out?
Yes. Let the mind be restless. Be aware, mind is restless. Let me see what it does to my body. You have to have that inquisitive attitude, that attitude of inquiry, rather than of getting lost. Oh, my mind is restless. Should I see some film? Should I go out and meet some friend? Should I eat something or drink something? Those are all escape mechanisms. Just avoiding the restlessness. Face it like a brave person, and it'll go. Because it doesn't have any essential existence. It's just a phenomena which arises and passes away. But we don't allow it to pass away. We actually add fuel to the fire by trying to escape and doing this, doing that. So this is the path of the warriors. You have to have that spirit. Well, we know theoretically that whatever arises is impermanent. And if you know it and believe it, then it should show its impermanence. It will, provided you handle it wisely. It's like a burning fire. If you don't provide any fuel, how long will it burn? It will just die out naturally. But if you keep on providing fuel by your thoughts and actions, it'll keep on burning, full of the life, life after life. That's what happens. So do it and see. You'll feel that you'll take up some challenge and do it. And see. When you're extremely restless, sit quietly and see how long will it. Say to yourself, let me see how long will it last. Buddha says that things are impermanent. Is this restlessness impermanent or not? And just hold on, sit just, and whatever you can feel in the body is fine. You don't need to scan and do all that. Just be aware. And you'll know some things will happen. There'll be butterfly in the stomach, there'll be heartbeat will rise, pressures will be there, body will get heated up, cooled down, whatever, depending on situation. If you're getting angry, body will get heated up. You see that. And by seeing that heat, the anger will dissipate. That's the power of practice. That's the body-mind connection. You actually know it. You don't just read it and write it in your notebooks. You know it. So you don't have to remember it now. You directly know it. I don't have to remember anything to teach you. I know it straight away. I prepare these transparencies so that you have something to see. So that you can register in your mind. I don't need to do anything. I just know the practice because I've done it for decades. So that's the kind of confidence you gain when you practice properly and with proper understanding.
Sir, how to inculcate this practice of being aware into entire day and not just like when we are meditating?
That's what we'll do today. That's the topic of our discussion today. I just first wanted to know whether you people could feel anything or it was just if you were, because I couldn't see you, so I couldn't figure out. But then I could see a little bit, but
Yes,
so
we had some problem with camera. It was
that's okay. Now, whosoever has not spoken, would you please tell me what did you feel or anything, or you had some difficulty in doing it? Then it will be good for me to know that. Yes, dear. 3 people have spoken. There are many, at least I can see one more along the 3 and one sitting opposite. I can see her hand. I saw she was eating something all alone, didn't share with you. Yes, please. Each one of you should tell me, no, whether you're able to get what I'm asking you to do, or is it
For a while, I felt warmth in my hand, like warmth and heaviness in my wrist when that was the only time I felt something, and that is.
you
And I,
didn't feel, you are weightless, you don't feel any weight on the bottom sitting on the ground on the chair? I'm sure you're not weightless.
yes, sir. But that I don't think
But
I was. I have been conscious of it for a while. So well,
be
while
be just now.
yes,
All of you just feel where is your body touching the chair and what is the feeling there. Okay, do it just now. Because it looks very unusual. No? That's why I'm asking you to do. We feel what is this? What's this funny thing he's asking us to do? No? Yeah, body is resting on the chair. There will be pressure on the bottom. That's so what? Well, that's the point. The pressure on the bottom, we react to that normally. I keep on moving like this, like this. I have a lot of pain in my back these days. So when the pain becomes too much, I have to move. I'm not able to sit quietly.
so is there any point of the sensation, or we just have to like it's just observance? They have to.
It is the basic process of training the mind. What are we training the mind? to be able to face unpleasantness, to be able to face pleasantness. We have an unpleasant experience and we don't react, we don't cry, we don't react. If there's a pleasant experience, we don't start jumping. That is the key practice of removal, of reduction in greed and hatred, greed and aversion, or craving and aversion. We always have craving for pleasant experiences. So while meditation, if we get a pleasant experience, we want to hold on to. We don't want the mind to go away from there. We like to feel, okay, it's very pleasant, let me enjoy. And that's the time we'll say, no, it's impermanent, don't do that. Go ahead, move ahead. If it is unpleasant, try to fiddle around and remove that. That's a reaction. But of course, we can do it wisely, understanding that there is an illness, then of course, I'll take appropriate measures. Not react to it, but act on that. That makes all the difference. You remember we had the very first assignment. What was it? What was the first assignment?
Respond wisely and you grow, respond unwisely, you suffer.
There are no problems in life, there are only situations.
Yes, sir.
There are experiences, pleasant or unpleasant experiences. So we are training our mind to respond to pleasant and unpleasant experiences by equanimity, not react to them, understanding that they are impermanent and they would change. It doesn't mean we don't act upon them. We understand, don't react, and then we reflect, okay, is this something which is harmful, which will hurt me in any way? And then if it is something of that kind, that is because of illness or because, say, the chair is broken and I'm sitting and it may hurt mine, then I'll say, okay, let me change the chair. We're not asking you to sit on one bed of nails, as they used to do in ancient times. That is the meaning for that, sitting on a bed of nails, so that the unpleasant experiences don't disturb them. But that's not what we are asking to do. We are saying normal experiences which we have, we should be able to take them in the stride. And these physical experiences are directly related to the mental experiences. When somebody shouts at me, I react to it, the body gets into changes. Bodily changes happen. I get angry, bodily changes happen. There are secretions from the endocrine glands. And if I have a constant problem of anger, then my bodily changes happen. I fall ill, I get illnesses. If I'm constantly under tension, constantly for years and years, my cells forget how to respond. And it gives rise to cancer. It has been very well established. So we are learning how to respond to unpleasant and pleasant experiences in life. It's a very simple way to do that. Okay?
So I had a question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So does bodily changes happen with the positive emotions as well? Because in cognitive psychology, they say positive emotion only have the reducive properties, like it negates the negative emotion, but does not create an additive impact in
You
the.
read it. You read it. I don't contest it. I would request you to look at yourself and see. Okay, you keep the reading fine. You keep it at, you've written that paper, got the marks, passed it, fine, good.
Yes.
Now when you have a joy, for a moment look at your body and see, is something happening to me? And verify. Why do you ask me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah? And then let that be the next assignment. Okay? Of course, 5 of you have submitted the second assignment. Still, I haven't got from the rest. I don't know how many are the rest. First assignment was submitted by 6 people, so I presume there are at least 6. Others I don't know. So I have told Sunit and Mr. Bas, then they lose marks in their assignment. So that's fine. That's your choice. So I presume therefore it should be over by today. It's not maybe tomorrow. So for the next week, you can do this as an assignment. That during the week, whenever you get happy, look at your body and see what's happening. Is there anything happening or nothing happening at all? And note it down. Okay?
Yes.
So that's assignment number 3, because we talk about unpleasant experiences and anger, or maybe take 2 of them. Take one very happy experience and another when you're really angry at anybody.
And if sir anger doesn't happen, then
Well, then I will bow before you. In
was
1 week,
very angry.
if in 1 week you don't get angry at all, I think all of us should bow before you. Could say namaste. Great.
In a
Okay.
week, like the probability is like after a week it might happen, but in the week it doesn't happen. It can happen, right?
So you can write down, this week I didn't get angry at all. Very good.
Yes, sir.
No problem. And then you can also write, this week I didn't get happy at all. No issue. So I was perfectly equanimous whole of the week, just like the great saints of the ancient times. I didn't react to anything. I looked at everything with great wisdom. Wonderful. Yeah, all the best, surely. But please write it down and submit. No problem. I'm not saying you need to kind of manufacture anger and manufacture happiness. Whatever happens, so let's do that for a week. It's okay. All right. So let's start our discussions. You can see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that's what I had thought we'll discuss today. How do we really practice all this eightfold path, which we have said is the one which removes suffering and helps us regain the mental and physical health and all that? How do we practice? Where to begin? I had shown these 8 limbs and put them in a circle. You remember? Why did I put them in a circle?
Yes.
You don't remember?
Am I audible?
There must be some connection between them.
Sir, can you hear us?
Sir, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can.
Speak loudly.
Okay, I was saying it because it's a cyclical process, so that's why probably a circle represents the process.
Yeah, should describe a few steps of that. Wherever you want, wherever you wish to start, I have no objection. But describe me. How are they connected?
So, like, see, once we have a wise view, once we try to develop a wise view within ourselves, it will make it easier to put that into action. Like wise view, we can then make a resolve out of it, and then putting it into action, like speech and action. So, wise view or resolve is action.
Cognitive training.
So yeah, cognitive training, like the first 2 aspects. So once we do that, then it is probably that paves the way for bringing it into action, whether it's about livelihood, like carrying on our daily tasks and everything.
Sir, it's like one leading to another. A leads to B, B leads to C, C leads to D.
Yeah, I just wanted to know where you remember and understand how it, what is the sequence in which it is happening, any sequence.
The sequence.
So the question therefore arises, where to begin? Should it be done in a sequential manner? Should it be done in a simultaneous manner?
Simultaneous manner.
The interrelationship between these is best described by a spiral analogy. No? I'll show you what a spiral is. Can see this? These are concentric circles.
Yes.
So if you go from one point to another, you end up back on the same place. Where anywhere you start, you end up in the same place. But what happens here? Suppose you start from here, you go round and round and round and full round, and you don't end up here, you end up somewhere here. You advanced further, and then you go around, again advanced further and advanced further, and so on. So what does it mean? It means that when you start from a wise view, for example, it gives us wise resolve, our thoughts become wise, which lead to wise speech, wise action, wise livelihood. And so once these things are wholesome, it becomes easy to remove the unwholesome aspects, wise effort. Then mindfulness becomes easy, concentration becomes easy, because mind does not go here and there. We don't have any regret or remorse for having wrongdoings and actions. Why does agitation happen? Because we have something, expectations which are not fulfilled. We are apprehensive, kahin aisa na ho jaye. Or we have a remorse that I did something wrong, or we have a feeling, oh, I did this wrong, and if my parents know, that will be very bad. And that's what causes agitation. And then concentration is not possible. So if all these things are proper, concentration is possible. And with increased concentration, we can see the world more clearly. So our view becomes clearer, more clear. We can see the world, we can see the truths more clearly. We can see the impermanence of things more clearly. We can see their unsatisfactory nature more clearly. We can see the insubstantial nature of them. तो सारहीन है संसार वो समझ में आने लगता है. And then our resolution becomes more strong. Wise speech becomes easier. Wise action becomes easier. This becomes easier. All these become easier, and they progressively become easier and easier, and become stronger and stronger till we get fully established in a wise view. So that's how the spiral works. And of course, you could start from anywhere. You could start from wise speech. If I find my speech is not good, I start from here, improve it, and then that will help here, that help here. Then I do effort in removing my negativities. Then I practice mindfulness, practice concentration. With some concentration, it becomes possible to develop view, and then the whole cycle starts all over again. Or I could start from concentration, and then from concentration develop wise view and go around the whole thing.
So in Vipassana, from where do we start?
Pardon?
When we practice Vipassana, when we are meditating in class, so from where do we start?
What do you think? Tell me.
I think from wise concentration.
We assumed that you have a wise resolve of some kind. What does wise resolve say? Less greediness, not wanting, not trying to, not having ill will for others, not having tendency of hurting others. So we presume that is in the nascent form, it is available. And when we started from wise view, we discussed before we started meditation, we discussed some things. What is the wise, the very basic things of wise view? I am the cause of my suffering, not others. And it's a big thing to be able to see that. But what we did was we assumed that this speech and these are okay. Then we started with wise effort, wise mindfulness, and wise concentration. We didn't do much effort straight away, but we did wise mindfulness and concentration. It started from here. Mindfulness was of the breath. And then we brought the mind would wander away, we'll bring it back, wander away, bring it back. So this way we developed concentration. And with some concentration, it was possible to get some idea. What is these Four Noble Truths and what are the suffering cause and so on. That there is a cause of suffering is wanting and not the friend or the sister or the brother or the parent. And then we go around in this manner. Now the Buddha, in his great wisdom, he said different situations for different set of people, because each one of us is a unique character. We have our own wholesome and unwholesome tendencies. So depending on those tendencies, he would say, this is the kind of meditation you should do. This is the kind of meditation you should do. You don't give the same thing for everybody. So it's like somebody going to a doctor and saying, doctor, give me the best medicine. What will he do? Is there anything called a best medicine? It depends on the illness. So you first diagnose what is the illness and then appropriate medicine. There was an appropriate medicine, not best medicine. Similarly, there is an appropriate meditation, not the best meditation. But over the years, over the thousands of years, people have found some meditations are suitable for most people. For example, mindfulness of breathing is seen to be helpful for most people who have a tendency of the mind being too hyperactive, constantly thinking, and given to restlessness. So we say, okay, do this. It will calm down the mind, it will make it less restless, and then you can practice. Okay? So the very important part of Buddha's teaching is that it is a graduated teaching. And he gives this example of ocean. Says ocean firstly has a gradual slope. For sufficient distance from the shore, there will be there. I've just written the names from an oceanographic book. There's quite a large distance. You'll find the slope is slow. And then as you go deeper, suddenly falls down. Then you reach the bottom of this. So it says, just as the ocean has a gradual shelf, a gradual slope, gradual inclination with sudden drop only after a long stretch, in the same way, this Dhamma and Vinaya means the teaching, the basic teaching and the discipline has a gradual training, a gradual performance, a gradual practice. With penetration to gnosis, this actually means penetration to wisdom only after a long stretch. So that's the basic philosophy. He said you should practice in a graduated manner, in a sequential manner, so that you start from where you are and you start from what you can easily do and then proceed further. So therefore he had different advice for monks, different advice for householders. So we'll see what he advised to the householders. There's a sutta, Sutta Buddha. I've just given the reference. Sudana is one of the books of the Tipitaka. So he says the very first thing the householders should do is to practice dana. I'm sure you know the word dana means generosity, sharing your things with others. He said that's how every householder can do that. There's no big problem in doing it. One should be willing and understand the importance of it. So why do we do generosity? Why do we do dhan? What is the purpose? I'm sure in Indian tradition, this has always been a part of Indian tradition. At least it used to be, at least in most families. So what is the purpose?
Not to amass wealth or resources for self, but to share
with other people.
for the greater collective well-being, for collective growth, as you called it, and as opposed to greed, which is amassing resources for self and self-interest.
That's good. That is.
So what it does is it reduces the acquisitiveness tendency. Acquisitiveness is essentially a strong form of greed. We want to hold everything for ourselves. So we say, no, we should share. So, of course, different traditions will have different reasons for sharing. That doesn't matter. But one has to understand. The whole idea is reducing acquisitiveness. Of course, you can do generosity also in a very bad manner, with wrong motives. But the whole idea was that it reduces acquisitiveness. Your greed falls down. You begin to share with others and you get happiness. And this is an experience. It doesn't need to be told to us. When you genuinely give something to somebody, you feel happy. That's something which we all experience. And the second thing he said is practice Shila, virtues, right speech, right action, right livelihood. And what does it mean? You have to practice sense restraint. So we practice what's called Indriya Samvar. Our senses, we try to control them. So we have to do some suitable practice for that purpose. And we begin by actually making a vow. I will not kill anybody. I will train myself not to kill anybody. I'll train myself not to steal. I'll train myself not to indulge in sexual misconduct. I'll train myself not to indulge in harsh speech or backbiting or trying to waste time in frivolous talk. I'll train myself not to get intoxicated and lose my mindfulness. So this is what one undertakes. One goes to a good friend or a senior friend or a monk or a teacher and request that please instruct me in the various virtues. And he'll say, okay, these are the 5 basic precepts. You should follow them. And then he makes him recite them. I will not do this. I will not do this. I'll abstain from this. Okay, now you've made a determination to follow them. So please try your best to follow. And this in the traditional Buddhist societies, this process is repeated every now and then. Whenever the opportunities arise for householders, they go to the monastery and say, and the monk will again tell them, instruct them, okay, follow this, so that this becomes a part of your life. Sense restraint is an extremely powerful thing, and it helps us to reduce our suffering. How? It gives freedom from remorse. If we keep our 5 precepts intact, there will be very little reason for remorse because we will not do anything wrong. There's a blameless life, and there's a joy associated with blameless life. There's a joy associated with earning money. There's a greater joy associated with sharing it with others. Even greater joy associated with living within one's means, not taking debts and getting into EMIs. And much greater joy associated with blameless life. If I know I have followed all my precepts, have not violated any of the basic ethics and moral rules, I feel there's no reason for me to be remorseful. And that gives me joy. And that paves the way for further progress on the spiritual path. And in order to motivate people, Buddha would also say that if you practice dana and practice shila, after death you'll be reborn in a better realm. If your present worldly life is not very prosperous, not very happy, by practicing these things itself will ensure that you'll get a birth in heaven. Heaven meaning you could visualize it as a place. If you are finding it difficult, you could have a rebirth which will be heavenly, which means you'll be living a much better life. This is a method of motivating people so that they follow it. But then he would also go ahead. Once you see that the person is following it and is getting good feelings, then he'll tell me, yeah, well, sensual pleasures, there are drawbacks. Don't be totally lost in sensory pleasures. Because money, wealth, sharing, all that will give sensory pleasures. And what are the drawbacks of sensory pleasures? You must have discussed it in some various courses if you have any ideas, or you don't discuss such things. Anybody? Are there really drawbacks of sensory pleasures, or am I making it?
They like sensory pleasures are kind of associated with that chasing that rush of instant gratification. So like it might become a habit of looking for such solutions to looking at such quick solutions to resolve any kind of discomfort that we are facing. And like with this instant gratification thing, anything that we talk about, the threshold also increases every time. If we talk about addiction, so addiction of any kind, the threshold gradually does increase because that some particular substance taken in a particular amount does not give you as much satisfaction as it used to some time ago, because your threshold has reached that time, and now you would probably look into increasing something or some other. So it's just chasing kind of one thing after the other for instant gratification, which is not a permanent kind of solution for any discomfort.
And what are the drawbacks? That's okay. Whatever you said is right. But even if threshold increases, so what? Today I get happiness by one ice cream. Tomorrow I'll take 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 10. Why not? What is the problem?
Instead of freedom, it leads to slavery.
Attachment.
Slavery, matlab attachment nahi, eventually we get dependent on it. So instead of independence that we want, eventually
We lose the quality of patience and
slavery.
the sense faculty also reduces in some way because we are exploiting the body in some way.
Anything else? So it basically means, see what you're saying the word threshold is, it gives rise to addictions. Addictions of various kinds. Okay, it could be addiction to any of the senses, sight, sound, smell, taste, touch. And addiction means it will eventually hurt the body. It will eventually, if that addiction is not fulfilled, it will give rise to its strong rage and anger. They are two sides of the same coin. I don't know if you have seen anybody who's an alcoholic or who's a drug addict, and as they go through the de-addiction process, how much of turmoil it happens to them. We were once conducting a course for drug addicts in Tihar jail, young boys, and as they started meditating, and they had already been detoxified chemically. Yet, as they started meditating, the withdrawal symptoms appeared again very strongly, and they would just cringe and crawl and beg to get some substance somehow. Run away, go there, try to climb the wall. The prison is all closed, you can't really get out. And plead with the warders and jailers and threaten them, whatever they could see. Run away because addiction wanted to be satisfied. The mind was totally overwhelmed by the addiction, even though it is on the detoxified state. Imagine what happens. You might have heard about alcoholics and drug addicts killing people because they didn't get the money to buy that addiction. Killing their own parents because they refused to give money. That's of course the extreme case of extreme consequence of addiction. Not only hurts the body and the mind, it also creates the opportunity for the opposite to happen. anger and hatred and violence to arise. It's a pretty serious thing. And then we talk of, then the Buddha would then talk, after mentioning all that, he would point out the rewards of renunciation. That if you give up things, if you give up attachment, how much benefits you get. Can you speak it out? What are the rewards of renunciation meaning? Give up attachments. So what are the rewards of giving up attachments you can think of?
Equanimity.
Reduction of source of unhappiness.
The unhappiness associated with attachment. We already discussed that second noble truth. It's the craving which is cause of suffering. So renunciation is giving up of the cravings. It doesn't mean we give up eating food. It means give up craving for that. You're free. The food doesn't bind us. The sound doesn't bind us. Smell doesn't bind us. But if we have to hear, we hear. If we have to smell, we smell. So we lead a life of balance, a life of peace, which is the much greater state of one of the higher happinesses. There are gradations of happiness, much higher happiness, balancing, living life in a balanced manner, not getting ruffled by anything. And once we come to this state, this becomes really the tipping point. And once people would be able to appreciate, then he would start teaching them the bhavana, that is meditation, which is direct experience of the Four Noble Truths and Eightfold Path. So that's the scheme of training which the Buddha suggests for us. So they're essentially usually called as dana, shila, and bhavana. Dana meaning the generosity, reducing the cravings. Shila means sensory restraint and seeing that we are in a position to move ahead with the spiritual growth. And then bhavana means you're now ready to practice. I presume that you have shila, you follow virtuous behavior, presume that you're not too much acquisitive, and so we started with meditation with that assumption. Now you can see if the assumption was wrong, you must have had difficulties. Then when it comes to meditation, as far as the earlier parts are concerned, I hope it is clear. If you have any questions till now, what you've done, you can ask that. Yeah, please.
Sir, in the point Dana and Sheila as a rebirth in heaven. Sir, what did Buddha mean by heaven?
Yeah, but in his point perspective, there are different realms of existence. There are 31 realms of existence. We can see only two. We can see human realm and the animal realm. But he had that psychic power to see the other realms, the lower realms of hungry ghosts and hell, and the higher realms of various levels of heavenly realms, which have increasing degree of subtlety and increasing degree of joy, happiness. So he actually meant that. Of course, modern, it may be difficult for you to accept it. So you can say rebirth in a heavenly situation. You can add and make up this noun into an adjective. No problem. You see around our society, some people are born in very wonderful situations, others are not born in those wonderful situations. They have difficult life. Some have very comfortable, peaceful, prosperous lifestyle. It's not by accident that that's happening. According to Buddha's teaching, it's the result of past karma.
So, did it mean that if we do good karma, we are born in a better place, and if we don't do good karma, we are born in a bad place? That's what he meant.
You can roughly say it's more complex than that. Yeah. Basically, it means that. Yeah. You can put it like, as you sow, so you shall reap. If you sow a seed of thorny bush, you'll get a thorny bush. If you sow a seed of mango, you'll get mangoes. Simple. So, what are the seeds? The fields basically related to our actions, the sankharas, whatever the way we respond to the worldly situations, to the experiences. If you respond with wisdom progressively, we develop more and more wholesome actions. Our intentions are wholesome. And as we develop in the path, we develop renunciation, our cravings fall down. So your mind states are peaceful. So we'll be reborn in a situation where our mind where we'll experience peaceful states. So that's it. I mean, I'm trying to explain it in a very simple manner. Things are more complex. There are detailed explanations available, but they demand much greater level of sophistication and understanding the working of the mind. We'll try to do that little bit in the future, but that's the general way we can understand.
So you can talk in complex way, we would understand.
Okay, we'll do it in some time. We'll do it systematically. The issue is that it demands some practice. So if you practice properly the meditation, mind is calm and focused and concentrated and sharp, then it will be easier for you to understand. Okay? It's not just, of course, being psychology students and having studied working of the mind from a Western perspective, we've got some knowledge which will help you, certainly. But the concepts here are quite different. For example, this whole issue of planes of existence may not make sense to you. But if you practice meditation and you see that you yourself can live in different planes of existence.
But we are read Sri Aurobindo, sir, so we know.
Pardon?
Sri Aurobindo talks about the typal word and other words, no? We studied Sri Aurobindo before. So.
Good, very good. Very good. Now, there's one thing to know it cerebrally. There's another thing to know it directly. Sometimes when you practice meditation deeply, you can actually experience those states of mind which are very peaceful. And you can see that those states of mind will lead to peace. And there must be beings who have got established in those states of mind for long periods of time. So they actually live in another realm. Even if they are living on the earth, their life is totally different from those of normal, unwise people. So you can visualize the realms in that manner also. So the beauty of the Buddha's teaching is that all those 31 realms of existence one can experience within one's own one's own meditative capacities. By meditating deeply, you can get a glimpse of what those mind states are. Okay. Now, coming to the meditation aspect, the bhavana, because dana and shila are something which dana is something which you have to do with understanding, and shila is something we already discussed. The importance of various of the 5 precepts you've discussed at length. So once we understand the importance, then hopefully we'll try to practice it. And we've already seen how difficult or easy it is under different situations. We can be very kind to somebody who's not criticizing us, even if he or she doesn't mean well for us. We can be very critical to somebody who's criticizing us, even if he or she means is a very dear well-wisher. And that shows our difficulty of the mind. We are not able to have the ability to digest unpleasant experiences, to respond to unpleasant experiences wisely. Isn't it? We discussed at length about the generation gap and things of that kind. So we come to bridge that gap is what meditation really does. So that's what the way we understand the Eightfold Path properly. So meditation 1 is on the cushion and second is on the daily life. So on the formal meditation on the cushion, we have been doing a little bit. Of course, here you're doing in this chair, but you can treat it as a cushion, doesn't matter. Which means you practice concentration, then you practice investigation of the experience, which we have started doing. We did it even with the breath, but with the bodily sensations and the feelings, we have started investigating our experiences. And we can investigate the experiences not just of the body, we can also investigate the experiences of the sight, sound, smell, taste, touch. So they are the various aspects of formal meditation. And we can integrate it with daily life. Because sight, sound, smell, taste, touch happen in daily life. I am looking at you, you are looking at me, you are hearing me, I also hear you. You are eating, one of you was eating. So while eating, there is some sensory contact happening. You're thinking, that's also sensory contact. Some smells, that's sensory contact. So this happens, doesn't happen necessarily on the cushion. We don't normally eat while meditating. But when we are eating, we can meditate. We can look at the experience in depth and see what is happening, what sense contact is happening, what is the feeling arising, how am I reacting to it, and that will be meditation. That will be meditation in daily life. So let's see how we can practice in daily life. And I've put down some few steps. First is how to meditate formally. This I think we have already discussed at length. The first is to make the posture relaxed. Then you examine the state of the mind. Choose the main method based on the state of the mind. I had mentioned it last time, various methods when you have greed-oriented personality, lust-oriented personality, anger-oriented personality. I had mentioned, you remember? Can you give some examples if you remember? In the last class, I had mentioned that if one has a strong lust-oriented propensity, what kind of meditation should you practice?
Focusing on dead bodies.
Yeah, and also less difficult than that.
Which personality are you looking at the ugliness of things like body parts, looking at
The body. Looking at
anatomy
the
of body as it is.
anatomy of the body, yeah. You
And
keep a chart of the human body in front of you and look at it and see the beauty in it. Keep on seeing it for 1 hour. How beautiful is the lung and how beautiful is the heart. God. Heart is associated with so much of emotions, Fall in love with the heart and you are my heart and I am your heart. Okay, this is it.
But some people do love it, isn't it?
That's okay.
Matlab,
Think about it. You try it out and see. We don't bother about some people. Let's bother about ourselves. Of course, some people
but
even
see
eat
as
it.
ugly, some people see as beauty. Like,
You can try it out. I'm not denying it. I'm not contesting it. You can try it out. You keep if I don't know, if you've gone to an autopsy demo. There are videos of autopsy. Have a look at it because they show it in full live. What actually is. They cut it out and show you. Oh, see, this is it. That's done for the medical students actually. There are videos for medical students of autopsy. Have a look at them and see how much you will like it. Of course, you can. Some people do get into lust even with respect to dead bodies. Yeah, that's true. But they are psychopaths. They have a problem. So try it out and see. You don't need to even buy it. You can just open your laptop and say anatomy of the human body. Keep it on the laptop for an hour or for 15 minutes, doesn't matter, or maybe too much, and see and look at it. How beautiful is that? Or just see the diagram which I had shown you. Remember, I had shown you this is the man, and I had shown you the diagram of the man with all the cross sections inside, right up to the veins and the arteries and the bones. Or you look at the bony structure of the human body. Look at the skeleton and see. And I hope you won't be afraid of that. In our meditation rooms, we keep a skeleton. So that once in a while, people can have a look at that also. And one of the teachers used to say the people would come there, especially women would come and scared and run away. And they would go, why the hell are you keeping this here? We don't like to see a skeleton. I said, why don't you like? You sleep with the skeleton every night. What are you afraid of? You are standing in the skeleton. The skeleton is making you stand. Otherwise, you'll just be a potato mash. Simple thing. Imagine there is no skeleton in our body. The whole flesh will just descend into become like a mashed potato. So what are you afraid of? So these are the ways of teaching people how ignorant we can be. So have a look at it and see how beautiful it is. There are videos of skeleton dancing. You can have a look at them and enjoy. See how nice it is. And then add to the skeleton some flesh. Then add to it some various organs of the body, and see how nice they look. That's the way. I mean, that's the part of meditation suggested by the Buddha. He actually caused 32 parts of the body, in order to simplify the task, because at that time these cross sections were not as available in diagrams. Either people had to go to the Vaidya, and very few Vaidyas would do surgery of that time. So but a person with that deep insight would see what actually is inside the body. Similarly, if you have an excessively angry mind, what is the practice you should do?
Angry. Kindness and
We had done a little bit of that last time.
fostering kindness by some. I think I'm
Fostering
remembering how people keep taking this.
Remembering people with goodwill, practicing goodwill. It's called metta meditation. Maitri bhavana in Hindi. You see everybody as your friend, and then may you be happy, may I be happy, may you be happy, may you be free from ill will, free from remorse, free from anger. So you have good wishes for everybody, so that your texture of your mind starts to change. So these are various practices. I'm just giving two. And since in the modern times, mind is usually agitated and aversive, we say, okay, first practice tranquility meditation. And one of the simplest way of tranquility meditation is mindfulness of breathing. So you can use anapana, means tranquility, mindfulness of breathing. You can practice metta. You can, the various objects can be used. I've written, because this was made for some other purpose. Sound of silence means the so-called anhadana. You can use, if some people are able to hear it, you can use that as an object and concentrate the mind, focusing on that and concentrating the mind. And as the mind gets concentrated, it becomes tranquil. And when the mind gets tranquil, the hindrances come down, they become suppressed, and then you can practice concentration to a great extent. And we have already mentioned this. I've repeated it here. If it is Raga Charita, means a person with prominent characteristic is of greediness, Ashubha practice, and then Kaya Gata Sati, which means practicing awareness of the body, just as we are doing this body scan. Dosa Charitra is Brahma Vihara. Brahma Vihara means one of them, there are 4 Brahma Viharas. One of them is the practice on Metta Bhavana, which I said, Maitri Bhavana, practicing goodwill towards others. And for people who are suffering, we practice Karuna Bhavana. The people who are happy, you practice Mudita Bhavana. You rejoice with them rather than getting envious of them. So there are suitable practices made for that purpose. And people who have a agitated mind, disturbed mind, attention deficit, moha charita is called, deluded personality, practice anapansati and inquiry and study and discussion on them. Inquire into the nature of reality and practice it. And then these are other things, you can forget about that. Okay. Then we come to the insight meditation, developing insight into the nature of reality. Okay. For that, the basic approach is what's called sati patthana, which means practice of mindfulness in comprehensive manner. So there are various methods of doing it. One of the simplest ways is body scan, which we did today. We scan the body, feel what is happening in the body, and try to remain equanimous. We start with trying to remain equanimous, but as we practice more and more and develop insight simultaneously, develop wisdom into the impermanence, into the unsatisfactory nature of all experiences, then it becomes more and more natural. We don't have to practice equanimity, we tend to be equanimous. Okay? And there are other meditations, you can forget about that. So this is a very famous Thai forest teacher, who's very large, highly popular now. And what he says is, what I've put in red, the real practice takes place and the mind encounters a sense object. He says this walking meditation, sitting meditation and all that, that is only outer forms of practice. So that's the place to practice where sense contact occurs. When people say things we don't like, there is resentment. If they say things we'll like, we experience pleasure. Now this is the place to practice. How are you going to practice with these things? This is the crucial point. If we just run around chasing after happiness and run away from suffering all the time, we can practice until the day we die and we'll never see the Dhamma, which means we'll never progress on the path. That's completely useless. When pleasure and pain arise, how are you going to use the Dhamma to be free of them? This is the point of practice. So that's the real thing we have to really practice. And then there are, for daily life, there are some kind of helpful aids in developing wise view. Because wise view is the foremost. So it's called, you remember I had mentioned it, Sati Sampajanya. Mindfulness in a comprehensive, clear awareness. So what are the helpful aids? First is to understand this very thing. It's so difficult. I am the sole cause of my suffering experienced by me, which means you have to investigate into suffering. It's neither the parent, nor the boyfriend, nor the teacher, nor the university, nor the job, boss, it's me. So that's a challenge. That's a challenge which one has to really understand and by investigating into the cause of suffering. And investigation is possible with a calm mind. You can't do with an agitated mind. That's why the whole idea of practicing tranquility. So you reflect on that. Then there is developing confidence in the law of karma. In Pali, it's called kamma, right? Which means understanding that there is a cause-effect relationship in the universe. Nothing happens without a cause. As you can say, as you sow, so you shall reap. Whichever way you want to understand. And of course, you can understand it when you see the minute functioning of the mind. So we begin by having a confidence that, yes, my teacher says so, so it makes sense to me. Okay, let me practice, and then slowly and slowly that confidence, that acceptance turns into confidence. Then maintaining the awareness of three characteristics of anicca, dukkha, anatta constantly, to the extent we can. Whenever we experience worldly life, we always remember, whatever we experience, it is impermanent. Whatever we experience, it is unsatisfactory because it's not abiding. And whatever we experience is there. Actually, there is no one who is experiencing. There's just experience. There's no personal experience at all. It looks like a person who is experiencing, but actually there is no person. It's just an experience. But this may be quite difficult in the beginning. So that's why we start from impermanence and suffering. These two things we try to check again and again. Whatever experience it be, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral, we see how it changes. And that maintaining that constantly, that awareness is phenomenally helpful. There's enormous practical implications, which I'm sure you can easily visualize. If you understand impermanence of unpleasant experiences, you'll not get angry. If you understand the impermanence of pleasant experiences, you'll not get addicted to them. Very colloquial language I'm putting it. And you can see the benefits of that. And then, of course, this is a bit more difficult for non-meditators, that anything and everything in my life, this is not mine, this is not myself, this is not me. These are the universe. Netang mam, neso amasmi, nameso atta. For everything, which means nothing in the world is mine. Nothing is there which I can say is me. And there's no essence in anything which I can call my essence. It's all a phenomena, an event which is happening, a process. What I call as me is just a process. It's not a thing. And that needs quite a lot of practice and understanding. What I've just mentioned, because it's there in this class slides are used for some other purposes.
So,
Okay, now you can ask the questions. Yeah.
so why do different people have different time span for processing any kind of emotional arousal?
Yeah, because we all carry unique signatures. You have
What
siblings?
kind of signatures?
Do you have brothers and sisters? Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I have a brother, younger brother.
Is he exactly like you?
To some extent, not exactly.
So as he grows up, we grow up with exactly the same characteristics, same abilities, same mindsets, same charitra as you?
No, sir. Now, though it has been 5 years we have been living apart, so I guess we might have many differences, but there are few similarities.
So that's the reason. That's why. That's everybody is unique. And what is the unique? Unit is the unique. What is the signature of each person, if I may use that word? It is the karma. Karma of the previous lives, infinite lives that we have lived, which have stored impressions in the mind stream, mental stream. You know, William James used to talk about stream of consciousness.
Yes, sir.
That's true. Yeah, the stream of consciousness is flowing. And we are all manifestations of that stream, a temporary manifestation of the stream. So if you are 20 years old, where were you 25 years ago? I'm presuming you're 20 years old. So if I ask you, where were you 25 years ago? Can you answer that?
No, sir.
You don't know. But the stream of consciousness, which is manifesting now as you, after 75 years, this body will no longer be there. Will that stream of consciousness end? That will manifest in another form. It will take another form. Just as it took this form, say, 22 years ago. So that stream of consciousness is going on and taking forms after forms after forms. How? Why? That's the question which Buddha answered and understood and seen. And this all happening because of the kind of sankharas which you create. Habit patterns which you create, the cravings which are residual cravings which will remain in our stream. It is the craving which gives rise to rebirth. If you have no craving, there will be no rebirth, you'll be free. So, and we all have different sets of cravings. So the differences in the people. So the differences in the abilities. Differences in the material abilities, in the wisdom, and the education ability, and the ability to see, ability to understand. We all have different abilities because of the past which carries on. In the presence of the past, as they say.
Sir, is there a thing as a young soul and an old soul?
Well, in this stream of thought, the concept of soul is just not there.
So the stream of consciousness, when it's new, it hasn't experienced much things, it hasn't gone through many transformations.
There's nothing like what they call it, a blank slate. A child is not born with a blank slate. That is a Western concept. He carries with him huge information. They now call it Akashic field or whatever. There's kind of terms which have been coined by philosophers of the West. Children are not blank slates as the psychologists would like to believe.
It's not, when I ask this, I am not thinking from the Western perspective. As Sri Aurobindo talks about a psychic element which over the lifetime develops into a psychic being, which is basically the dharma and swadharma, the kind of things he talks about. So I was trying to understand from that.
So what Buddha talks about is the stream of consciousness. He doesn't talk of being, he talks of becoming, which is the most recent scientific understanding also. There is no being here. We are constantly becoming, constantly undergoing a change. There's no static thing. That's the way Buddha puts it. Okay, let me say. I'm not saying that is right or this is wrong. I'm just mentioning to you what Buddha says. And when you practice deeply meditation, then you can realize, yeah, we're constantly undergoing a change. There's no fixed entity here. That's the insight of anatta, which is unique to Buddha's teachings. Nowhere else you find that teaching. In all our Indic traditions, they always talk of soul or pure consciousness, Atman, Brahman, in various ways. Either you are an Astik, you don't believe in any damn thing, or you believe in this. But there is another school of thoughts, Buddha's teachings, where you can't say, he doesn't say there's nothing. But he doesn't say there is anything which is fixed. They are constantly remodeled, reframed every moment. And that's what is the, I had given you some hint into that in the last time in terms of dependent origination. Constant interdependence of phenomena. Nothing is fixed. This is the anicca understanding of anicca at its depth. So that's the Buddha's perspective.
Sure.
Any other question?
So what did Buddha have to say about creation? Like, what's the point of creation if we want to seize it? And is
See,
creation only suffering?
the way a scientist would work, he also worked in the same manner. He developed psychic powers to the extent that he could see 90 eons. He mentioned in one of his courses, 90 eons means infinite time virtually. One eon in Hindi is called a yug. Okay, so 90 eons he could see the stream of his own consciousness. This is what I was before when I was died and born like this, and then he traced it back and back and back. And he said, I'll try to find out this, answer this question. Where did it all begin? And he said, sorry, I can't figure out. There's no point in the, it doesn't seem that it has begun. It seems to be incalculable. It seems that it is always there. I can't find a beginning point of ignorance because it's the ignorance which is giving rise to repeated rebirth. And he said, the beginning point of ignorance cannot be seen. And he therefore says, why do you have to bother about it? The fact is that you are ignorant now, then remove it and be free. Was there a creator who created the God? Is he responsible for us? If there is a creator God who is responsible for suffering, then I should access him and find him out and take him to task. Why are you doing this, all this? He says, there's no one. We are the cause of our suffering. That's the very first thing. I am the sole cause of my suffering. No one else. No creator God, no soul, no other being. That's only an apparent experience. And that's a phenomenal statement. So we have to see whether it sounds proper, sounds correct, not. Because he said rest is all metaphysical speculation. And he therefore said you don't allow any, that metaphysical speculation can give you a kind of a pleasure of some kind, which is artificially created. It's like positive thinking. But life is neither positive nor negative. It is what it is. We should know how to handle it. That's it. So that's what the first assignment said. There are only situations in life, pleasant or unpleasant. We should know how to handle them and get free from them, get free from the bondage of situations, free from the bondage of the world. That's what his concept of liberation was. So whether the world has the purpose, whether there is beauty in it or not, he didn't deny that. And yeah, maybe. You didn't get into any of these questions. Is what the creator's purpose was? Is this the cause of my suffering? Is this the cause of your suffering? So he used to give the example of two arrows. I think I had mentioned it once, the two arrow analogy. Said, suppose a person is hit by an arrow, a poisoned arrow, and he's crying and he's wailing and he's about to die. And his friend comes and said, oh, come on, I know how to take out this arrow. He says, no, 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 don't take out the arrow. You first tell me who shot this arrow and of what material it is, with what velocity it came, from which bow was it fired, and from where, which direction it came from. You first find it out, then I'll remove the arrow. See, if a person is of that kind, he'll surely die before the arrow is taken out. So there is an arrow of suffering we are all experiencing. It says, remove that. Don't bother. What is the direction of the arrow? What is the material it is made up of? Who is the original shooter? Who shot it? Why did he do so? Well, the problem is yours. You are facing this, and you know this is the cause of suffering. I'll tell you. The arrow of suffering which you are hitting, which is troubling you, I'll tell you what is the cause of suffering. You will know it yourself. Find it out. I'll tell you the path. That's why he said, you have to walk the path. I can only show you the way. I'm not going to do something for you and you will all be enlightened. No, nothing doing. That's not the path of the enlightened being. If anybody tells you that, yes, I will do something and as a result all the mankind will be enlightened, sorry. He says, no, that's not the way. He always said, Tumihi kitchen attapang akkhataro tathagata. Tathagata is one who has come to the truth. And it has different meaning anyway. It's you can say epithet for Buddha. He says, I am only akkhataro. I'm only the describer of the path. Tumihi kitchen attapam. You have to work hard to follow the only path. I can't do it for you. I can only show you the way and help you to motivate and prevent you from getting astray. And if you are walking and you fall down, I'll tell you how to get up. Because I have walked it myself and reached the destination. And out of compassion, I'm telling you, do this, then you reach the destination. So that's the basic philosophy of his teachings. So he doesn't answer these questions which you're asking me. Okay?
Sir, when fosters tries to develop this kind of view that I am the sole cause of my suffering, at times it may also lead to some sort of self-derogatory behavior or which might end up making the person feel even worse. Blaming self for like everything. So how to really navigate with something like that?
You have to understand the comprehensiveness of the Eightfold Path. This is the aspect of the wise view. So what does it mean? I am the sole cause of the suffering. It doesn't mean I am the sole cause of the situation. There's a difference. Suffering is the response to the situation. Other people can be cause of this situation. Yes, certainly. So you handle that. So you know how other people can only create situations. Other surroundings can say, earthquake has happened, whom do you blame now? 25,000 people have died. Whom do you blame? God? Or the tectonic plate movement? Or the both? Or some devil who's hell-bent on hurting us? So it's not saying that situations are not influenced by surroundings. Of course not. The weather changes, the surrounding atmosphere changes. That's why he says always associate with the wise people. Be away, keep away from the foolish people. So external situations can be created by people, by government, by whatever, friends or enemies or whatever you say. But whether that situation will cause me suffering is up to me. That's the point. Okay. Anything else?
Sir, can you explain more on law of karma?
Basically, I said, whenever I do an unwholesome action, my mind state will become unwholesome. Do you agree with that? Hmm? If I have to hit somebody, I will have to develop anger in me. And that will make my mind unhappy. And that unhappy mind, that anger or observed anger of sankhara, will produce its effect in my body-mind structure just now and for future. Because that impression of anger will get stored in the stream of consciousness. And it will continue to produce effects because it will continue to bias me to be more and more angry in future. And therefore, when I'm dying and I have that anger arousing, then I'll be born in a place where that anger gets fructified. But the anger will have immediate. The law of karma is both immediately and for long term. It operates in scale. It's a time invariant. One will be the effect immediately, which is immediately felt. You practice generosity, you're immediately happy. You practice kindness, you're immediately happy. You practice anger, you're immediately unhappy. You know it. So you can say that. That is the principle law of karma operating on a moment-to-moment basis. All that he's saying is it also operates over a long period of time. There's a time invariance about this law. Understand time invariance? It can operate at different scales. So you can verify from moment to moment that's happening.
So
Okay?
that it is more complex than that. What did you mean by it?
Yeah, because you have to understand how it is operating moment to moment. What do you mean by moment to moment? I'm using a colloquial language, actually. You have to understand how the mind processes information. Okay? It's like I was reading a book in which it mentions that 2600 years ago, what the Buddha and those people discovered about the 17 steps of cognition are now being verified by the brain physiology. And the writer was wondering, how did he know? There was no imaging available at that time. So what are these 17 steps in which the cognition happens? So once you know that, then you know it, yeah, for sure, yeah. Then you can recognize, yeah, this makes sense. I may not be able to experience them in that manner, but I do know, yeah, this is what it happens. Under various time situations, I experience them. And then it makes sense. Then you know it from your own experience. Yes, there are certain different stages, and those different stages of process chitta, as it is called, of the process mind, those correspond to different parts of the brain, different parts of cortex. So that kind of uh, parallel has been drawn by people who are familiar with the brain physiology of, for example, visual action. How does seeing happen? What are the various parts of the brain which are involved in completing this cognition of seeing? And they find, yeah, exactly those kind of steps are happening. Then you can see this impact which the consciousness, which our sankhara produces on the consciousness, and how it gets stored and how it remains carrying on from one moment to another moment to another. So that will make it even more clear than that. That's the point. So we'll try to see if you're up to it. I can discuss it in the later parts. Okay, if you want to get into the details, I can present it to you.
Yes.
Are you willing to face it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So we'll do it. Good. Don't worry. Any other thing? So what is the assignment for this week? You remember? I've not written it down.
Joy and very,
Some
very
very
angry.
angry or very happy whenever you are, observe what happens in your body.
Observing
Yes.
what happens in the body.
Observe, is there anything happening in the body or nothing at all?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that's the assignment, which is actually you have to just write what you experience. You don't have to write from a book or refer to any literature or look at each other's notes. It won't help you. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's complete by practicing meditation for a few minutes. We'll first silence our mind by observing the breath for a minute and then practice the goodwill meditation.
Here by 4:30.
Okay.
You free from animosity, nidukho, free from all suffering, sukhito, may I be happy, amvyapanjo, may I be free from ill will, anigo, free from anxiety, sukhi attanam pariharam, may I be able to take care of myself happily. Sarve satta sukhita hoventu. May all beings be happy. Sarve hoventu. May all beings be free from animosity. Avyapanja hoventu. May all beings be free from ill will. Anina hoventu. May all beings be free from anxiety. Sarve satta sukhi attanam pariharantu. May all beings be able to take care of themselves happily. Fine, thank you very much. You can close, you can open your eye and open your eyes. So do try to practice at home. How many of you are practicing at home? One.
So there's someone in the back as well. So many.
Okay. So is it very difficult to practice at home? Or you can come here a bit early and do it here.